also, so I think a lot of people are going to be buying the headset for Christmas. Also, if you're going to be doing that, you're definitely going to be wanting some games as well. So what I thought I'd do is I'll give you my top 5 or recommendations for the PlayStation VR. There are loads of games out. There's about 150 games and experiences out there at the moment. So my first advice to everybody is just download all of the free content. Number 5 going to be VR Rally. Now, if you do like racing games, there are a few out there on VR, but VR Rally it probably is a cut above all of them in terms of value for money, and in terms of what you can do. So you can play this particular game in a flat screen mode as well, but you do get access to every car, all of the tracks, and it is fully playable in VR. Now, a lot of the games that do this, I really do like that sort of side of it. Absolutely fantastic game. It's definitely by far and away the best driving VR game for me, but more importantly, it is a pretty good game anyway. Driving around rally cars, pretty cool. Number 4, Resident Evil 7. Now again, value for money wise, this is fantastic because you can play it in a VR mode, but you can also play it in a standard 2D mode as well. So again, it is like having two games for the price of one, which is again pretty cool. I quite like that. But if you like the Resident Evil series, you're in for a pretty good treat. But it actually is pretty scary. Now they've gone back to the old sort of format, and I think the reason being, they have come out with a few duffers over time, but this one definitely not a duffer. It is pretty scary. Now the reason I like this particular game so much, I think, is because it took me quite a long time to get through it. The plot is absolutely brilliant. It does take you to some places which are, absolutely off the scale in terms of scaring the living bejesus out of you. Again, you're just wandering around a pretty spooky house. I don't want to spoil the sort of the plot and everything else for anyone who hasn't played it or wants to play it. This again is just really my recommendations. If you've got VR, and you're even remotely interested in horror genre, this is probably the daddy of them. But it is a pretty cool game, and I would highly recommend it. So that's number 4. So number 3, a game called Raw Data. Now, Raw Data, fantastic game anyway, but what the sort of premise of the plot is, become a sort of secret agent in a world espionage sort of system, but it's all focused around like an evil corporation trying to overtake the world and all of these things. So it is like a wave shooter, to be fair. Now you've actually got the choice of playing 3 different characters, and there's a fantastic training mode, so you can get used to all the different guns and things like this, and the powers, special sort of weapons that these 3 characters have, so you can sort of find out what is best for you, or what suits you, or what you like in the main. And I think for me, there's one character which has got like a sword, like a ninja style sword, but it's almost like a lightsaber, so you can bring the blade in and out, like you would do a lightsaber. But then you've also got another character with a shotgun, which is pretty awesome as well, and another character where you have these 2 pistols. And again, all of the weapons are, at certain points through the game can be upgraded, so they become bigger, better weapons. And it really is just a lot of fun. It really is. Again, when you're talking about a game that would immerse you into another area, you have you've got everything there, the elements for that. Raw Data is number 3. Number 2, and this is Gran Turismo. Now I know it's another driving game. I do like driving games. You can play this one obviously with a steering wheel and pedals and all these sorts of things. And the reason I really like this game is because graphically it does look pretty good. It's one of the better sort of VR driving games graphically. Now I know I spoke about VR Rally earlier. That was my number 5. It's because I had a huge amount of fun playing that, and it's probably one that I share most with friends when they come round and they want to sort of play a driving game. It's the one that I probably say, well, you should check this out because it's really good. But Gran Turismo, all of the cars, all of the tracks are available in VR mode. And again, it's got a VR mode. The game does play VR mode and a normal sort of standard 2D flat screen version as well. So again, value for money wise, I know the game's not the cheapest of games, but it is pretty good. And I think just, the sheer pleasure of sitting in one of these cars, sitting one of these amazing vehicles in a Gran Turismo scenario, it just takes it for me. So number 2 for me at the moment is a fantastic game called Farpoint. Now Farpoint has come out a while ago now. It's been hugely successful, and it's one of the sort of first full games, a little bit like Resident Evil. It's a full game that you can play fully in VR, but the difference is with this, you can only play this game in VR. There is no other option. But the very cool thing about Farpoint is that it supports the aim controller, and it's the first game I played. Well, in fact, when the bundle, the Farpoint came out, I got the aim controller and Farpoint as a bundle. So it was pretty cool actually. It was pretty decent game, pretty cool bundle. And that's one of the reasons I actually got the aim controller, was to be able to play this game. So you're playing a sort of astronaut or scientist stroke astronaut, searching for your lost crew on this alien planet. And the reason why I really love this so much is possibly because the environment, the architecture and the programming of this game really does take you to a place that does feel like you're on another planet. It really does. And it's just pretty cool in the way that it works with the sort of a surprise round each corner. Now again, there's a lot of jump scares. It's you're on an alien planet just fighting loads of arachnids, this type of thing, and it goes much further than that. It's quite a big game. It's quite a big plot to it. Now again, value for money wise, I sort of almost dislike sort of talking about value for money in terms of games, because the reality is, if you're getting fun, if you're getting enjoyment out of this, and you're getting enjoyment out of it again and again and again, where do you judge that? It's a great game, and I played it for hours. I come back to it, and there you go. And the aim controller is pretty amazing. The aim controller really works well with it. The aim controller again gives you that extra dimension of immersiveness when you're playing with the VR, and they both complement each other very well. But gameplays, yes, there's a few sort of small glitches, but I just love the fact that this is one that you can play online as well. You can play with a few friends. So Farpoint for me, yeah, it's number 2. My top game, or the top game that I would recommend at the moment, that I've been playing, is Doom VR. Now Doom VR, if you're a Doom fan, Doom VR is just a hoot, and I mean absolute hoot. It's got every element of the Doom sort of world that you would expect it to have. Again, it supports the the aim controller, which I think is absolutely brilliant as well. But it actually is a game that you can play whatever controller you've got. You can play, so if you've got the move controllers, it'll use those, or if you've just got a standard controller, you can play that, or if you've got an aim controller, you can play that in it. But it is a hoot. It is an absolute must, I think. The sheer brilliance of blowing up a demon, a hell demon, and being scattered in its blood, in the full Doom sort of scenario is just, they've made, this is stuff dreams are made of, and it should be scary, but actually the way they've done it is just fun. One of the best looking sort of games in terms of VR wise that I've played that really do utilize the sort of things in a slightly different way. Now I'm sure there are glitches in it, and I'm not going to go through the sort of minimal glitches because the game's only just come out really, so I'm sure there's going to be a few patches that will sort of take it to another level. But this really is a must game for anyone who's a Doom fan, and I used to play Doom back in the day. Duke Nukem and all of these things, that was my thing at one point. So playing Doom in VR for me is just absolutely off the scale of game enjoyment really. But, this is my top 5, so I think go out and sort of have a look at those, see if they're if you like them. If you agree with them, that's great, give us a thumbs up. If you don't, hey, I think we're all different. So I just want to sort of talk a little bit about a few honourable mentions. Now, there's plenty of games out there. There's things like Rush of Blood Until Dawn. That is an absolute brilliant game as well to go out and play. I haven't got a hold of a copy of Skyrim yet. Now I'm hearing lots and lots of really, really good stuff about Skyrim, as you can imagine. I think people are finding the controls slightly tetchy, but I'll have a look at play of that myself at some point. There's also some really good, like I say, free games out there, but one of the really cool games that I played recently is Rec Room. Rec Room is brilliant. That's exactly what it is. You can meet up with friends and make friends as well, and just play some very, very cool games. So that's pretty cool as well. You've got Spark, which is just an absolute, a sports simulated game, which in VR is just brilliant. You've also got PlayStation Worlds, which is 5 games in one, which really are sort of demo techs as well, tech demos, which really just show what the PlayStation is capable of doing. That's definitely worth getting hold of. And also, I would say if you're anything like myself and you just like games just to have a bit of a hoot on, there's Sports Bar. Now Sports Bar again is a little bit like Rec Room, but you're in a like a sports bar, American sports bar. It's definitely worth a go, and it's more of a social sort of thing. But the pool and the darts and these sorts of things are just good fun. So there's a few honourable mentions if you want to sort of have a look at those. Anyway, like I say, there's no school like the old school, and I'm the headmaster.